So everybody, welcome, and I'm so pleased to have this opportunity today to chat with Wayne Duvall. Wayne is one of the original members of the Vero group. In fact, we'll get into this a little bit. He's not actually an original member, but to me, he's an original member. But there's a running joke, oh, hey there, Lileen. Is that your name? Lileen? Is that your name? You can turn off your video. That would be great. And so anyway, yeah. So we have all sorts of things we could talk about. It might be interesting, Wayne. You're the first person that we've interviewed who. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to tell everybody. When you're watching things. Just a reminder, if everybody could turn off their video, that would be great. And when you're watching, I would suggest watching in speaker view because it'll give you probably the most enjoyable viewing. Hi, Jerry, I see. If you can turn off your video, that would be great. Okay, good. So I'm going to start over. So welcome, everybody. We're here talking with Wayne Duvall. Wayne is one of the original members of the Vero group, and we're going to get into that in a second. But I'm just thrilled that he's able to join with us today. So Wayne, by the way, if you don't, you've probably seen Wayne in so many things. Wayne works all the time. He's just one of the most working actors I know. You might recognize him from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And Prisoners and Richard Jewell. And currently he's The Hunt, which is out on, is that on Netflix, Wayne?
It's on Netflix, it's on HBO on demand. It's pretty much all over the place right now.
Awesome. So be sure to check out and check out Wayne. So let's talk about the Vero group. So the Vero group started in 1986, and you came into the Vero group before we were actually a company. We were just meeting weekly to work out, and then we decided to produce, and we actually we did a one-night evening at the Perry Street, and I think you joined us right around then. But we had already.
I was in that show.
And we actually had been rehearsing, and I don't remember you being in the one-night thing, but you were in the river on the wing at the River West.
Right, on the wing. Right.
Yeah. Which was a collection of short plays by Joe Pintaro. And in fact, I have a very specific memory from that where you were in a play called Birds in Church.
Birds in Church, that's right, with
Nate Harvey, who was the co-founder of the Vero group. And we had this thing where we had these two people who were helping out on the production, Paula and Ellen Delp. Do you remember this? They were
this when they were a little inebriated?
That's right. They showed up one day for work in the bottles, in the cups, shall we say. And during your scene, I walked off. I was backstage because I had to pull this curtain thing, and I see one of them, this woman, Paula. I think it was Paula, maybe it was Ellen, but she was very, tall person just sitting in this chair, and I look over and she's like, and I'm like, and she's got a cue where she has to run backstage and pull this string, and so that a curtain can open. And so I very gently, shook her, and I went, hey, Paula, or Ellen, and she just kind of opens her eyes, and she just looks at me and goes, I promise. I'm like, what? And then I watch her kind of stagger in the direction of the string where she's going to pull. And then I just turns the corner. I'm like, I guess she's okay. And all of a sudden I hear this boom. And she had just fallen and knocked over the cyc. And it was just ridiculous.
It was
and
classic.
Later that evening, my recollection is at the end of the show, she actually, threw up backstage, and it was.
Oh God, I don't remember that, but I wouldn't doubt it.
Made the curtain call eventful. Anyway, what have you been doing? That was
then.
Here's something mind blowing, Wayne. That was 34,
Oh, dude.
34 years ago.
Yeah. No, I remember I was the first person to audition for the Barra Group, because you
That's
went
right.
and handpicked everybody that you knew, and Martha French and Lee Brock, who I had been in an acting class with John Sticks, came to you and said, "You need to see this guy." I was just their friends, and so you put me through the ringer of improvs and all sorts of crap I had to do. But I was the first person to audition, and you were like, "Yeah, okay."
That's right.
Like, sure, okay.
That's right. In fact, my memory is, did you come over to our apartment to do that?
No, it was in some big studio, I remember.
Oh,
Some
probably,
cavernous place
prob,
that we were in.
probably, okay, yeah, the Harlequin
I remember.
Studios.
Yes, I think it was, because I
Yeah,
remember you at a distance, that vision of you and Lee at a distance, and I was
yeah.
like, ooh, I got to be good.
I can't imagine why we're at a distance, but that's so funny. So anyway,
Yeah.
gosh, there's so much we could talk about. You, it's certainly no exaggeration at all when I was talking before, and I was talking about how much you work, and you've gotten to work with such amazing people through the years. And I'm wondering if any particular anecdotes that you have from that are fun things to talk about from your, vast
From my,
experiences.
just from my career and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, well, there's a story that Lee wanted to ask about that, so I won't say that. No, it's been different. It's been mostly really highs in my career. One memory that I just love is this movie that you mentioned, Prisoners, which was Jake Gyllenhaal, and I played Jake Gyllenhaal's boss. Mm-hmm. And I remember at the audition, it was Dan Lauria and I, down to the wire for this part. And I thought, oh God, Dan Lauria, well, whatever, he's got it. And I remember him coming out of the audition and saying to me, "Have fun on the set." And I thought, oh, it didn't go well for him. And it was all about the director, Denis Villeneuve, who ended up doing Sicario movies and Blade Runner, the new Blade Runner that came out. And he said, Jake Gyllenhaal likes to improv. Can you improv? And I went, let's go. Do you want to do one? And he goes, no, not with me. He's French Canadian, not with me, Jake. And I said, absolutely, let's do it. And it was so much fun, because when I got to the set, it was like free for all. It was, okay, what do you want to do, Jake? In terms of dialogue. Denis is a brilliant director, and he let Jake do his thing, and so like the scene I have on my demo reel is like a lot of improv. It was mostly improv. I know my dialogue was all improv, and it was the most freeing as an actor, because it was truly talk and listen, no thoughts at all. It was exciting as hell. Yeah, which that's just one in many, and then there were bad times, and
yeah.
I mean, there's playing basketball with George Clooney in between Leatherheads, and the whole group with Leatherheads was like a big fraternity party, and Apollo 13 playing cards in between. Why have I been signed out? Do you see me?
Yeah, I see you totally.
Do you see me?
I do.
Okay, let me see. Oh, I'm back. Okay. Playing cards in between Apollo 13 and I have been very lucky to work with some amazing directors.
There's a story. There's a story you told me that I think is so funny. When you were on in that movie, I think was it called The Flood?
Hard Rain.
Hard Rain.
Called Hard Rain.
Yeah. Hard Rain. Was it originally called The Flood? Is that why I remember
it? It was originally called The Flood, and then they changed it to Hard Rain.
And then what happened? They put you in a speedboat or something? What was the deal?
Oh, dear God in heaven. They put me, this is a movie that's about, there's this torrential rains and floods, and we did it all in an airplane hangar, and they put us in boats, and they go, okay, in this shot, Wayne, we need you to drive the speedboat, stand up, hold the rifle, and shoot at Christian. And I said, well, let's rehearse that. let me just see how I can write. No, we don't have time. I go, no, really, you really want to rehearse that? And they're like, no, we don't have the time. I said, okay, it's your call, but I'm just telling you, you're making a mistake. And I
That was
get up
Christian
and they
Bale.
go,
No, not Christian Bale, Christian Slater. That's right.
Christian
Yeah.
Slater. And so they go, action. And they said they wanted me to gun the boat. So I gunned the boat, which immediately I'm going backwards. And then they said, okay, I stand up. And I'm standing up. I got this gun and I'm like, literally, crew members are diving, because I've got this boat and now I don't even know how to turn. I got the gun. And Christian Slater sees me coming and literally dives off the dock in the water. And I turn the boat down and then I look at the first AD and I just said, what do you think about rehearsal? What do you think? Like that. And they said, well, we'll let the stunt man do all that stuff. I went, good call, guys. Good call. Yeah, it was nuts. That was nuts. That's when you just go, fine. I've tried to tell you this is going to go badly. Now let me show you this go badly. So
how often do you find, because every once in a while I'm always surprised by this. Sometimes you're on things that have stunts and it's clearly really well coordinated. They have a stunt coordinator, everything's rehearsed practice. And then sometimes you're on these things and they're just like, go for it. Like, how often has that happened where you were in like things like the boat story where you just told that where you find yourself going, this does not feel like worked out? Has that happened much?
No, not really. I mean, I was on a television show called The District for like 4 years back in the early 2000s. And I did, I did a lot of my own stunts, which weren't really, like punching or tackling somebody, and the stunt coordinator just trusted me. And apparently stuntmen, when you're in the union stunt guy, they give each other nicknames. And our stunt guy's nickname, coordinator's nickname was Tippy Toes, because whenever he'd walk, he'd sort of bounce, and it was funny. And I did so many of the stunts, and being of the corpulent stature that I am, he goes, I got a name for you. This is probably after year 3. And I go, what? Really? Who? What? What's my name? He goes, you're Fluffy, the portly action hero. Fluffy? He goes, you Fluffy. I went, okay. Whenever he'd see me, he'd go, Fluff, come here. I got something I need you to do. Like that. And then he'd say, you better be able to do this because I told them you could. I went, oh, fuck, But it was fun. Yeah.
Fluffy.
But normally they don't Fluffy, the portly action hero.
Yeah.
And they usually don't let you do your shit. But on that show, they'd let me play around and stuff.
So is that going to be your epitaph on your gravestone?
Yes. Fluffy lies here.
That's right. Fluffy, the portly action hero. Here lies the remains of.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
You left New York in
1988.
1988, which was about 1 year after we had incorporated. Is that right?
Yeah. I always think of myself with the Barrow Group as like, I don't know if your students know the group theater, but there was one actor named Francho Tone, who was one of the original. Yeah. And he was one of the original members of the group theater, but he left after a year. And I did the same thing. I went to California and I left after a year.
You are the Francho Tone of the Barrow Group.
That's right.
Well, it was
thank God, because look at all the work you did.
Well, career-wise, oh my God, for you, that was a good move. You just ended up doing so much. It's so cool. But it took a while, right? Yeah.
8 years in New York, I didn't even have an agent. And
right.
I didn't get arrested.
Right.
I did nothing but, I just worked, but it was all work like, non-equity summer stock. It was basement showcase theaters of original plays by young writers, for no money, travel money. And I did millions of those. And anytime I could work anywhere, paid or not, just for the experience. That's what was great. The year with the Barrow Group was like, we'd get together on that damn farm play, and work out stuff and do like improvs and then go to the restaurants afterwards and play the theater games, sitting in the booths. And that was
just to fill everybody in on what this farm play is. Nate Harvey, the gentleman we referred to earlier who co-founded the company, in addition to being an actor, was beginning to write plays or a play, and
A play, an
yes,
epic.
a play, and that's right. And it was the way he wanted to write it was through a series of improvisations that we did, and so we took it so seriously. We would do sometimes. I remember. Do you remember the potluck dinner we had with everybody in character and everything? Were you there for that?
Oh God, I don't know. I probably was there.
We had this potluck. We'd been working on this thing for months, and we had, people had started to, know what their character was going to be in this story, and so we had a potluck dinner where people just showed up in character, and
I don't remember that. I probably missed out on that.
It's well,
such a creative time back then. It was like really just, we had no idea what we were doing, but wanted to be together and just create stuff, and where you formed your language, and how to work and everything, and that, and your UCLA days and everything too.
Yeah, and the company was founded not just, it wasn't haphazard at all. We really evaluated who were going to be the members of this company very carefully, because the whole company was and is built around a performance aesthetic where, in the best of all cases, it doesn't feel like you're watching actors. It just feels like you're in the room with real people. It doesn't feel like you're hearing lines. It feels like, things are spontaneous.
Well, one of my favorite performances, I've never seen a bad performance out of the Barrow Group ever when I come to your shows.
And I feel like I have.
Well, you got more of a critical eye then. But one of my favorite performances of all time is you and Eric in Timekeepers. Yes. I sat in the front row and I looked like I was peeking through a window. It was so truthful. And that's everything to me. That's the goal, is to get to that level of an actor, to where you go, that's not acting. That's just someone that's living in unreal circumstances, but,
well,
imaginary circumstances.
The language that you were referring to, that we were developing in those early days and everything, stays with us for sure. And, I'm glad you had that experience in that play. Lee, who I think Lee's got a couple of questions for you. She's here. She directed that, and it does make it really easy to when the person who's at the helm, who's directing, speaks the same language that all the actors do. It allows for us to move really quickly, and And
it's great you trust the other person across from you. And it's just tennis. It's back and forth. It's, talk and listen. You don't have to do anything, you just talk and listen.
That is exactly the word I was going to use. You said it's trust, and that's what it is, man. When trust is there, it's just, fear goes away, and there's no, if you go out to do something, there's not this thing of like, how can we do this? You just kind of go, let's play around, let's see what happens. It's so good.
When I did, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when I did 1984, it took me 30 years to get to Broadway. And it's the only play I've ever done on Broadway, and musical or straight. But those 8 actors, every night, it was a different play. It was the same play, but it was a different play. And I said, if I could have done that for the rest of my life, I would have been good. I could have done that play for the rest of my life, because the actors were so good and just brought their day on stage, and it was real, and they were just listening, and it was just the greatest experience.
That was a wonderful production for sure. It was very intense. Oh my God, that production was intense.
For you guys, for us, it was just a blast.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the big sound onslaughts and everything. You couldn't really hear that on stage. It was wild.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Lee's here, and she's got a couple questions. I'm gonna invite her in, and she's gonna ask some of you. So here, Lee, come on in.
Hi, Wayne.
Hi, my Lee.
Wayne, thanks for doing this for us. And Wayne is so amazing, and such a talented actor, singer, fabulous. And I would love for you to share your story about Apollo 13 and how you got cast in that.
Okay. Well, I didn't get the easy path to acting. I worked hard, and when I couldn't get arrested, but I knew it's what I wanted to do. And when I moved to California, I had a dear friend of mine, still a dear friend of mine, he's like a brother, a guy named Jeffrey Kluger. I've known since college, wrote the book with Jim Lovell that Apollo 13 was based on. And I remember like going, oh my God, there's Mission Control, all these Southern people, I can do this. You know, and I go to Jeff and I go, Jeff, just get me an audition, man. I just want to get an audition. And he goes, no, I can't do that. And I go, what do you mean you can't do that? You wrote this. They bought this from you. He goes, I can't do that. He goes, I don't want to piss them off. That's, you know, and his own brother was an actor and he tried to get an audition. And he said to his brother, no, I'm not going to do that. Like he felt like they were going to take the entire project away because how dare you try to get friends into an audition. So anyway, I couldn't get in. It pissed me off. I had a no good manager who couldn't do crap. I had an agent at the time who couldn't get me in. I was like, this sucks. So I was living down in Venice, California, and I was walking by in the little mall they have down there on the 3rd Street Promenade, and I walked by Mrs. Fields Cookies. And I don't know, it hit me. I went, all right, I got to do this. And I walked in and I said, what's your biggest box of chocolate chip cookies? It's a $34 box, and it was perfect. Had a little cellophane window on the top of it. And I said, all right, I'll take it. And that wasn't cheap back then. You know, I needed that money, but I said, no, give me that. And I took my $34 box of cookies and I went home and I typed a letter that said, basically, I am perfect for this. I know Jeffrey Kluger. I didn't give a shit if he cared if I dropped his name or not. I didn't care. I said, I know Jeffrey Kluger. I can do this. I want the opportunity to audition for anybody in your office. I don't care what level they are, anybody. Just, I want a chance at this movie. And I taped the letter on top of the box. This is sad. I taped the letter on top of the box, and then on the inside with that little window, I put my picture. And back then, there were the days where you had postcards too. So when they opened the lid, I had postcard pictures all in there too. So they had to look at my face while I ate my cookie. And so I dropped the box off. I walk in the office. There's nobody there. I went, oh, you're kidding me. All right. Pardon my French. Dropped the box off at the desk. Said, that's it. I've actually gone lower than I've ever gone to get a job. But, you know, at least I tried everything to get this. And on my way home, it was back in the days where you had to call into your machine. I called into my machine. There was a lady on the other end of the phone with her mouth full, just going, you know, we'll have an audition at, you know, 2:00 on Monday. And, you know, and so I had an audition for like an assistant. Then the assistant liked me and she asked me to come back for the casting director. Casting director liked me, Jane Jenkins, who's now a friend, which is kind of cool. And then she brought me back in for Ron Howard. Ron Howard, after I read for him, apparently, according to the assistant, said, where did you find this guy? And she said, cookies. She said, cookies. So, I mean, it just goes to show if you really have a passion to get into a door and you really think, I want to do everything I can do, you know, go buy them some cookies or figure out something for yourself. But it's like persistence, because no one's going to hand it to you in this business. You know, you really
Right.
gotta, you know.
And I think that's
that was that story. That was a little long.
That's a great story. That's a great story and so fun. Like when we were coming up in the world, I think things are a little bit different, but kind of shows your passion about that project and that passion about your play. And how was it working with Ron Howard?
Ron Howard's great. I mean, he has everything. You know, each director obviously is different. Ron Howard was very prepared. I mean, he always had a shot list. You know, I used to have a copy of one that I Xeroxed, and it was like his shot list for the day, and I can't find it. But, you know, he was very easygoing. He was very deferential to the actor. You could say, you know, I remember saying to him, because any chance to eat, I will. And I remember saying to him, did these guys eat at their little station? I was a mission control guy. Did they have food there? And he was like, well, I don't know. Let's go find out. And, you know, and then they came back and went, yeah. And so I always had like peanuts or something at my desk. So I always had my hands busy to do something, you know. Mm-hmm. So it was great. You could just, you know, it was very free. It was very free.
Yeah. And then your whole experience of Brother, Where Art Thou, which Wayne, you're so good in that. And how was
Thank
your
you.
experience? Oh my God, so good. So everybody's seeing this, if you can see
That
that.
was one of those. That was one of those where I just thought I didn't know how I got into the audition room. I really didn't. I was no agent was like, I don't know. And I had been doing a play out there for no money at the Stella Adler Theater, and I was playing a preacher who was really big and bombastic, and I had to do these big sermons, and I was a corrupt preacher.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember making the choice when I suddenly was going in for Ellen Chenoweth for this movie, and I said, this is the same guy, he's just in politics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I remember feeling like I already had all this backstory and everything, Southern guy, big speeches. And so I went in and did it for her. And then I had to go in for the brothers, and, you know, they were kind of confused because they had a long string bean kind of visual for my character, and obviously not me. And they, so, and then I had to wait a month or two before I got it, because I'd get a call from like Joel. I remember I had these on tape forever. Joel saying, we're going to see one more guy, and, you know, for your part. And usually that means death. That means, oh, that's the guy they really want. And that was J.K. Simmons, but I kicked his ass. No, so I got it. And it was fun. I mean, it was scary because I'd never done a big part like that in a movie. And my very first day on the set was my big speech in front of every star in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember going, okay, well, you hired me, fools. So it's up to, you know, so if I fuck up, it's your fault. So I just remember just jumping, and it was great. It was fun.
That's good. And any funny stories from Leatherheads with that George Clooney? Just any funny stories?
Oh, that George Clooney.
Not okay.
He's very, yeah. I got some great stories from Leatherheads. One was Denise came down to join us to visit, and we went to a birthday party, and they were like, everyone was partying really hard, and I had a rental car, and I drove Denise, you know, and I wasn't going to drink because I'm driving, right? Well, George got smashed, just smashed, and everybody was smashed, but me, because I wasn't. And they said, can anyone drive George home? You know, someone needs to drive him back to the hotel. I said, yeah, Denise and I can. You know, it's right down the street. He's in the back of the cab, just like, and I leaned over to Denise and said, hey, Denise, that's the sexiest man alive sitting there in the back. Because he had just won it that year. And I remember him like cursing me out. No, I'm going to walk. I said, shut up, sit down. And it was like, you know, but it was fun. Yeah, he did things like he would let me improv a scene. He'd say, I need you to improv this speech. And I, you know, about where you have to tell everybody they have to go back to work and we can't play football anymore. So I'm improvising this thing. Well, guys, you know, you've given your heart and blah, blah, blah. And it just went on forever. And I finally went, all right, that's it. I'm done. I got nothing else. And he went, oh, I cut like 5 minutes ago. I just wanted to see how long you could go. Asshole. But
that's funny. That's coming back in.
I am. I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to open this up to a Q&A. So for all the folks who are watching, if you have a question, just digitally, you know, go to the participants thing and press raise hand, and we'll see your hand, and we'll answer questions as they come up. And in the meantime, we'll chat a little bit, but just know that you can do that. And if we see your hand, your hand will automatically go to the top of the list there, and we'll see it. And so
we're waiting for hands then. So I always ask this question to all the interviewers too. So
sure.
What keeps you inspired as an artist?
Good writing. I think good writing. I think the passion of, I don't know what it is, but I have this passion of exploring the human condition and knowing what I can do. It's like just a little story. You know, I just did this thing, A Quiet Place 2, because John Krasinski was in Leatherheads and asked me to do it. And it was one scene, but it was a guy who literally was going to get killed I'm in it like a minute and a half in this movie. But I remember thinking, no, I want to explore what it's like to say, this is my last moment on earth. This is my last time. I'm not going to get to say goodbye to my wife. I'm not going to get, you know, and I worked myself up into a lather. And for this little teeny scene, but it just fascinated me to the point where John would like, hey Wayne, never mind, and he'd leave me alone. And then I did the scene, and it was exhausting, and I'm sure I could have probably written without any prep, but I just wanted to explore that behavior of like, this is my last moment on Earth. And I remember him going, "Do you want to watch it?" And I went, "Nope," because you don't want to see it at all. You go, "Nope." Do you need another one? I go, "Nope." I just want to go home. But so that's what my passion is. That inspires me to find out what's going on and how I can manipulate that for a circumstance, for a part.
I love that exploring the human condition.
Benjamin Culpepper's has raised his hand, so Benjamin, go ahead and unmute and turn on your video. And hey, there you are.
Hello,
and what's your question?
Hey.
Hi, Wayne. My question is, besides cookies and persistence, what other what was your most important tool that you found helped you get through that really tough opening to your career?
I think to always be open and empathetic to anybody in any room, meaning you don't know, everyone's on their own journey and their own path and where they want to go in life. And if you're talking to an assistant in a casting office, make them love you, but sincerely so. Or, if they're your friend, because that person, and that's how I got my first big part in a movie, Hard Rain, is that Randy Hiller, who was an assistant to Risa Bramer, I had met. She was an assistant to a buddy of mine who was a casting director. Just very nice. We hit it off. She thought of me and brought me into the office. So I think always go in thinking, how can I make their life a little easier or a little better or make them smile or something. And not be so self-involved as we can be as actors,
My high school teacher used to have a saying. He said, "Be nice to all the people on the way up because you're going to meet them again on the way down."
Yeah. But Randy Hiller, by the way, right now is head of casting for all of Disney, I think, or Fox.
Incredible.
She's just a friend, and I don't ask her for anything, but I could if I needed to.
That's great.
Thank you, Benjamin.
That's a great
Thank you.
Yeah.
Katie Marsh also has her hand raised.
Katie.
And Katie, please, there you go. There you are. Hey.
Hi guys, thank you so much for doing this. This is great. Hi Wayne, big fan. During moments like this, during COVID-19, when we aren't doing a lot of work or anything like that, what do you do to keep yourself fresh, keep yourself on your toes?
Well, I said to Seth earlier, I'm thankful my wife hasn't plunged a knife into my chest during my sleep. But what do I do is I want to do something creative. So right now, what I've been doing is trying to learn French, and I'm trying to learn French. I'm waiting in the mail. Both Denise and my wife, are getting a watercolor set. We're going to paint, I do a lot of Zooms with friends. I'm reading friends that have written scripts that I haven't gotten to. I'm reading them. And then I Lance Lumen today, Lee Brock, who she knows, has written a script, and I got back to him and we were talking about it and stuff. So it's tough. And then I'm taking a masterclass.com. I just did Helen Mirren's class. It's a thing online that you can buy and you can study with, masters, and they've got Aaron Sorkin teaching writing and then I learn from this stuff. I get to talk to the likes of you and Seth and Lee, and so I love this stuff too.
That's terrific.
Thank you.
About
it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. That's a great question. It's funny that this is wacky times, and we're all doing different things. Lee, you've been doing yoga, and I've taken piano lessons again. I play, and I play. I always describe my playing as, I play professionally, but I'm sort of at the lower echelon of professional level. And I have had the good fortune of studying with this gentleman, Andy Ezrin, who's just a world-class jazz pianist, who's, normally on the road, but now he's home. And so
that's awesome. Yeah.
It's just,
I'm taking a master class for voice on Saturday with Katie Riggs, who's Seth Riggs' daughter, who's to Barbara Streisand and Michael Jackson, and I said sure, it's $50, it's going to charity, and
That's
just
great.
to watch and learn. So, you know, whatever you can do to stay creative. There are people that are doing Zoom, you know, readings and, you know, the 24-hour plays. I've been watching some of those that are online. So it's great. And you could go to BroadwayHD.com and watch some plays.
Yeah.
See Jason Robards do Morning Becomes Electra with Colleen Dewar.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
That's
Also,
awesome.
when you
awesome.
write, or you used to write, oh, come on.
I did. I've written, but it's
you're a good
just
writer.
so friggin' hard, you know. And you know, I spent 20 years working on a script, and you know, and and I did a reading at the Barrow Group. You gave me a room, and it was well received there. Then I gave it to another group that went, yeah, it's kind of like a Hallmark movie, you know, no surprises. And I remember going, all right, I'm just gonna act, you know, that's like 20 years of your life, and you go, oh my God. How writers do that, and they rewrite and they throw out songs and they just throw out crap, and I'm like, oh my God, it's too heartbreaking. But I do like, I mean, I do like it once in a while. I started to write a little bit the other day just because I have to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Stacy Whitmire has a question.
Stacy,
go ahead and unmute and turn on. There you are.
Hi, Stacy.
Hey.
Hi. Hi, Wayne.
Hey.
I have a question in that I've been taking a couple classes with casting directors lately, and I've run into this a couple times where it's kind of like they're looking for like a rhythm in the script in a way, but then there's a moment of like what seems like an emotion should come out. And I know like I've had a lot of Barrow Group coaching to sort of not play that, but then it's like I feel like there's this expectation for that, and I'm like concentrating on the, you know, how they're directing and trying to translate it. And anyway, I'm just kind of wondering how you approach stuff like that.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from, and I look at that as like an audition, and you know, to take the pressure off yourself, because this rhythm bullshit, you know, it's like the only person you really need to please in any kind of an audition situation is you. It's totally you. I'm sorry. All right. Yeah, it's totally you. Okay. And I wouldn't worry about anybody else's opinion. You know, you just need to go, I'm working on this in this audition. And if I walk out of the room and go, that was great, I felt good about it. That's all you need to do, is worry about being truthful. You did your work. You know, even if it's a scene they just give you and you have 20 minutes to look at it, you go, okay, I'm going to do this. If they want an indication, or they want you to cry in the scene, then, you know, do that for them if they need it. But I mean, nobody needs that. They want to see the true person. And if you can bring something without crying, if they were asking everybody to cry and you can bring something without crying because that's where you are, then that's all you have to do. But just please yourself, because they don't know what they want, you know. And in an audition, if you do well, they might think of you for something else if you're not right for that part. But just go in there and please yourself. Don't worry about all the other stuff. It just clutters your mind, and you shouldn't be in that anyway.
Cool. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Stacy.
That's good. Thanks, Stacy.
Great question.
Good question.
Wayne, what's the most, this is an awful question in a way, but an interesting one to me. What, as best as you can recollect, what's the most awkward moment that you've had on a set where you felt like, you know, this is getting really tense here or whatever?
Well, that's easy. Is a movie I did called Evolution that was directed by Ivan Reitman, or the Devil, Prince of Lies, as I like to think of him. No, I had like I don't mince words. No, but he, I had like a day and a half on this, and I was playing this doctor, and literally, usually if I'm working with a director, I figure I know what they want. I can give them what they want. This man didn't want anything I had to offer from the minute I just walked on the set, and it was a lesson in the end, but it was humiliating and horrible. But I mean, he screamed at me for everything. If I held up my hand for something, he'd go, "No, you don't hold it over here." Oh, it was horrible. And so nothing. That was the most tense I've ever had. And I had friends say afterwards, never let anyone treat you that way. And it's true. No one ever has since, or even attempted. But he said, if they do, you just take them aside and say, look, you can fire me right now if you want to, but you can't talk to me that way. And then I found out later that that was just something he did every week. Apparently, he'd pick one person and just make them the whipping boy. And I happened to be that for a day and a half. And it was a tough lesson, but a good one that I can hopefully have other people avoid. You know, but that was tense.
All of that said, what percentage of the time would you say when you're working, is it the opposite of that? It's just easygoing, fluid, no big deal?
I'd say 95% of the time. I mean, I feel that anyway. It's like, you know, you might get a director that might want to talk too much, or like, you know, treat you as if you haven't been in the business for 30 years and, you know, okay, let's try this. And it's like, you know, you're not getting, and, you know, that kind of drives you nuts. But I mean, you just do it. But that's rare. I'd say 95% of the time, you know, you're hired to do your job. I mean, I just worked with Clint Eastwood, and he didn't give any acting notes to anybody. Yeah. I mean, it was like one take. We started the day. I was in the 5 scenes. I was in the first and the last scene and one in the middle. And we were done before lunch the entire day.
Wow.
Because he says, I hired you to do your thing. Do your thing.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and okay. And he didn't give any acting notes. It was all about technical stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
You were wonderful in that movie, that Richard Jewell, really beautiful movie.
But I was barely in it, but thank you. I should just say thank you.
Very good, thank you.
But it was great, you know, working with, you know, Nina Arianda and Sam Rockwell and spending the day with them. That was fun, you know. So
that's
good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny when you told the Clint Eastwood story, it reminded me of I have a story with Clint Eastwood that really doesn't involve Clint Eastwood, but it was a film of his called Sudden Impact. And and I was working as a composer at Shakespeare Santa Cruz, a Shakespeare company, then a summer Shakespeare company in Santa Cruz, California. And they were shooting Sudden Impact in Santa Cruz, and they needed extras. And my girlfriend at the time said, you know, we should just go do an extra thing just for fun. We're like, okay. So we did. So we went down and we were extras on this film, and they were doing this scene that they shot over the course of 3 days. There was a chase scene that the way they filmed it, they chased in segments around the block with this, and the culmination of the chase scene is this van skids, you know, big stunt, skids up, out comes the chief villain who's been holding everybody in the van hostage with this huge machine gun, and then out walks Clint Eastwood with his, you know, because it's a Dirty Harry movie,
right?
With, his, you know, his gun, and everybody else is extras. So the guy who was the second AD in charge of background says, okay, everybody, just here's what we're gonna do. This is a helicopter shot. We got the whirly bird up there. He's gonna be shooting everything. The car's gonna come skidding around. It's gonna stop. The guy's gonna jump out. You're gonna see Clint come out with his, you know, big, you know, Colt 44, whatever it is, and you just, you know, everybody just, you kind of like, you're freaked out. Oh, okay, great. Okay, let's do this. And you see, you know, all the bullhorns and you know, lock her down, and you know, and action. And sure enough, this big van comes squealing around and hauls it all down. Out comes the guy with this machine gun and everything. Eastwood's walking out, and this one woman who was an extra who had clearly never knew anything about, you know, how movies are made or anything, decided this was her big break. So she runs out into the middle of the street and screams at the top of her lungs, "Oh my God, he's got a gun!" Like, you just hear this like chaos, and then you crud.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
Background guy runs out, he goes, "Don't do that. Whatever you do, just don't do that."
Don't do that. You know what, though? Just, I know you're limited on time, but just to tell your folks that if they want to get into film and TV, I did extra work for a year in New York, and not just to sit around and talk with, you know, old retired people. I wanted to learn what was on the set, learn how they ran, learn the protocols, who you talk to, you know, and I find that's really good. And then just when they call you to do it again, you just say, no, I'm good. You know, I just wanted to learn, you know, and also be a reader for auditions if you can.
God, yes.
Yep.
You know, I think that's such an education. I used to do that too. Even after Oh Brother, I'd go up and say, look, I just want to read with the A-list actors if I could.
I agree. I mean, like, a couple of things about that. One is it gets the casting director even more comfortable and familiar with your work so that they have you in mind. And the other thing about it is it really helps destroy myths, the things that you think are happening on the other side of that. You know, because I think I used to walk around with this sense that somehow on the other side of that door, there are people that are just blowing away the room. Like, you know.
Oh my God. I don't know what to do compared to what they know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it's like, and it's bullshit. I mean, the best thing that ever said to me for an audition was my buddy Harry said to me when I was freaking out for a guest star, he said, what are you worried about? You already don't have the job. He goes, what are they going to do? Not give it to you again? No, you already don't have it. The only thing that can happen is you get it. And I just remember going, really good.
Yeah,
I was so calm. It's like, really you already don't have it. What are they going to do?
That's right.
You know?
Well, believe it or not, Wayne, this brings us to an end. Our time is up.
Bummer.
It just goes by so fast, right? I hope we have you on again.
I love this shit.
You have so many good stories.
You've got so many good stories.
So thanks for joining us, and thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank you guys. Good luck.
Oh my God, thank you. And just as a reminder to everybody, we have this ongoing programming, free programming, and you can go to barrowgroup.org and you can find all the information for all the various free programming. And of course, our regular programming is there as well, all of the classes and workshops and all of that stuff. So thank you all so much for joining us. Wayne, thank you for dropping in.
Thank you.
And
my pleasure, man. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Stay healthy and stay safe. Bye.